Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we have a nice 12-game slate for you guys to end this work week. In this one, we are taking a look at the Cavs playing host to those Denver Nuggets, who are finishing off a very long road trip. We'll take a look at some of the best bets in here for you. Nate does have his great article up on playpicks.com with some best bets and player props in there for you as well. And make sure to like and subscribe to that page, as we got a couple other videos up for you today, including that player props video that will look to continue to climb higher above 500 on the week. And make sure you are staying on the lines.com, checking out who's in and out of those lineups up until game time, and staying on that odds checker, making sure you're getting the best juice available out there from those odds makers. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as all 12 games we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, the Nuggets are still -2.5 or -3 here at Cleveland. Sportsbooks continue to overvalue the Cavs after a great first half of the season, but they continue to lose key guys, including Jared Allen, who's going to be very essential in this matchup. The total is being bet up a little bit from 219 to 222 at the moment. 11 other games to break down, starting with the other video we have up today. Dallas +2.5 at Philly, total of 217 there. Then you got the Blazers +14 at the Nets, Lakers +9 at Raptors, Grizz -5 at Hawks with John Morant expected to play, Wizards +6 at Knicks, Thunder +15 at Miami, Pacers -4 at Rockets, Pelicans +3 at Spurs, Clippers +6 at Jazz. The Celtics are -10 at Kings because De'Aaron Fox is questionable. And then the reeling Bulls +5 in Phoenix as they end a West Coast road trip there. Yeah, this is the end of a road trip on the East for Denver. And they've had a pretty exhausting stretch before this, but now they're back to playing on normal rest. Beat Philly, beat Washington, and they're now 28-14 straight up when they get normal rest. They're now 17-19 against the East and 27-6 against teams with losing records. Now, I know the Cavs are 39-30, and that is not a losing record by any means. However, if you look at them since February 10th, the trade deadline roughly, 5-9 straight up, 4-10 against the spread, and 1-5-1 against the spread when they're listed as underdogs. 5 of those 6 games going over. Now, you know the drill by now. We've called it pretty correctly. They played Philly a couple times that the Cavs are going to lose and go over because they're no longer the same type of defensive team, because they're playing a lot more Kevin Love, Lauri Markkanen, and Cedi Osman, who are not good defenders, any of them. And Evan Mobley's been forced to slide up to the 5 with Jared Allen out now. In their last 7, they're giving up 30 points per game and 19 rebounds per game to centers. So you even just look at their recent matchups against Philly, both of which went over and were losses, that they go right around the spread in terms of their loss. But this is a very small spread for a Denver team that just beat Philly, for a Jokic who is putting up much more efficient numbers than Joel Embiid. But Embiid goes for 22 points in the first meeting with Jared Allen out there, then gets 35 on 13 for 19 shooting when he's apparently hobbled by a back issue too. Now, Jokic is just killing everybody, as we know. And Cleveland, a team that's posting a 117 defensive rating over that 6-game span, is not going to have any answers for him. Even at home, 115 defensive rating over their last 6. Their defensive rating, we know, is 4 points worse per 100 possessions without Jared Allen. And yeah, as home underdogs now, 5 of the last 6 have gone over. Despite all that, I'm not necessarily leaning towards the over as much with Denver out there. They can really slow it down. They can really play good defense, especially on the road. They do a great job. But I am comfortable taking the Nuggets over at 112.5. And I'm certainly comfortable with them covering just a small 2.5-point spread, or taking that money line, along with lots of other things that you might want to parlay on this 12-game slate to get some extra juice on that money line. I think Denver absolutely wins this game as they continue their hot streak.
No, I think that's fair, and I don't think I'm too scared of the points that we have right now. I think we're still sitting at about 2.5. Yeah, still 2.5 for Denver. I mean, look, this is a long road trip for them. They've been playing away from home since March 14th at this point. And really those last two games. And like you said, it's really just, if you go back all the way to about March 6th, they had a couple back-to-backs in there, playing 4 games in 5 nights in that time frame. And that was just roughly a week and a half ago. So, I mean, the thought there would be, this is the end of a road trip. A lot of teams oftentimes, sort of falter on the very end of the road trip when they're just trying to get home after being away for, a solid week or so. So that might be the thinking there, but I still don't get it. I mean, the Cavs, they, at home, they definitely did manage to hang around with the 76ers and only lose by 4 to get the push there. And then obviously, handling the Clippers, they won by 9 in that game, but I don't know. They're not comparable to the Nuggets at all. Right. And even against the Raptors, they managed to win by 8 at home. But once again, the Raptors, as well as they've been playing, still not the Denver Nuggets, still not, Nikola Jokic. So to me, this is just disrespectful to the Nuggets for some unnecessary reason. As you mentioned, and how well they've been playing, not only in general since, the All-Star break, but definitely also since, in their last 8 versus winning teams, as you mentioned, on the road. They're handling business, 7-1 against the spread, and 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 against winning teams overall. So once again, I'm not really sure what the deal is here. I think a couple of things you look at for the Nuggies, and the way that Monte Morris has been stepping up as of late as well. You've kind of seen a dip in Willie Barton's production, but you've seen a huge uptick for Monte Morris as he's been stepping in. As Barton's actually missed a couple games, missed some time as well. But as a result, Monte getting about 6 assists in 4 of their last 5 games, averaging scoring more than 15 points in 4 of those 5 games as well. So he's been huge on the road for them in this their roadie that they've had, as they played a ton on the road since the All-Star break. So yeah, I mean, in their last 8 as well, Denver is 6-2, and the things that they're doing, really, they're playing really at sort of an average pace. Everything that they're doing and the way they're scoring, the way they're playing defense, it all kind of adds up to being around this total in a way that I just don't like it. Everything's sort of middle of the pack for them in those categories that you would care about in terms of pace, and sort of and the efficiency stats on offense as well for them, and then the way that they're sort of slowing down everything, the other team on defense, and really locking up those rebounds, not giving up second chance opportunities in any way, shape, or form. So Nicola's props tonight sit at 24.5 points on FanDuel against this Cavs team. That feels really low. Of course, at the same time, I'm a little bit nervous to take Nikola, as in those last 8 that they have won, his points have been down a bit, and it's really those rebounds that he's been heading heavily at 13.5. So no Jared Allen tonight. I mean, in his last just 8 roadies alone, actually looking at Nikola on the road, he is averaging over 30 points a game in his last 8. So I'm a little bit confused about that 24.5 point prop for him as well, which is something we might talk about in that props video. But either way, I think there's a lot to like about Denver winning this game. However you want to play it, I'm not really feeling the total in any way, shape, or form, just because it has fluctuated for Denver as they can play at either pace. They've had a couple games where they've had their pace up around 102 in their last 8 as they've gone 6-2 there. So that's why I'm just kind of like, I don't know, man. I don't know about this total tonight. The Cavs, if the Cavs were on the road, I would be like, yeah, let's go over. But the Cavs are at home, where I know they've been going over more, just not nearly at the rate as on the road, to where I would feel as comfortable putting my money on that.
Yeah, I will say if it's a close game down the stretch, we probably will see a lot of good execution on offense. Both these teams have an offensive rating over 120 in the clutch in their last 15, but Denver has been much better on both ends. Again, Cleveland not playing the best defense. Denver is 7-2 with the 3rd best net rating in the clutch in their last 15 now, 26 net rating. They're 8-2 in 1 possession games on the season. Cleveland has started well, but has not been the same in terms of those clutch numbers. And Cleveland 15-21 against teams above 500, kind of like the Bulls there, that the shine coming off here in the second half of the season. They're also continue to struggle in terms of allowing opponents to shoot from 3, and Denver getting 40% from 3 lately. You mentioned Monte Morris, Bones Highland, Austin Rivers. Those guys are stepping up and finding the gaps around Jokic, who, yeah, I'm with you 100% on that prop. I think anytime that Denver is challenged, he can definitely ramp up his scoring. He does what's needed. And I wouldn't expect Denver to loaf. I mean, yeah, you're right. They have kind of dropped that last game of the road trip. I think their last 2 long trips. But there's no time for loafing here with the red hot Wolves half a game behind them for the play-in spot. So they really need to focus here. They could still catch the Jazz in that division, which we talk about in futures. They're plus 400, I think, to catch a game and a half on Utah.
Yep.
So plenty to play for here for the Nuggets, and they have won 7 straight on the road to this point. So I think that trend of them losing the last one on the road probably ends tonight as they get this win.
Yeah, no, I feel that, and like I said, I mean, in his last 8, Joker, he's at 30 points a game, but that's also because previous to his last 4 or so, he went 38, 32, 46, and 22 points. In his last 4, we're looking at 29, 22, 26, 23. So he's hovering around that 24 and a half lately. He did have those 29 against Washington. You might consider throwing his rebounds in there as well. 38 and a half points and rebounds. I don't know if you like that as much, just because I know the rebounds have been coming at an insane rate, but 24 and a half is still too low for him. I don't think this is going to be a blowout necessarily with those somewhat tired legs, at least for the Nuggies. But I do think this is an easy time to just take them to win. 2.5 points, might as well grab those. No reason to need the money line here. And if you want some player performance doubles for Joker, that's definitely a solid consideration. That's where I would look, at least if I was going to do those tonight for him. I mean, you're just not going to get much for anything like a double in him to win. It's minus 108, but it's slightly better than them to just take those 3 points. You know what I mean? That's already at minus 110, so it's pretty much the same deal. For him to not get a double would be the bet to take if you were going to bet one before anything, just because of the odds. There's no point in grabbing him to get the double even with the win, to be honest, tonight. So either way, I think you just take them to win, and if you want to get creative with it, cool. But if you're just trying to win some money, I'm just going to smack them to win by more than 3 points. So that is all the time that we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page, and check out those other couple videos we have up for you today. And until we see you next, happy betting.